Hello and welcome to another episode of LGR Play. I am your host Mark Hamer, and today I would like to talk about puzzle games. Now, everybody likes a game that engages the old grey matter, and I've assembled a list of 10 of them that are perfect for lapsed gamers and cover a wide variety of genres, from puzzle platformers to first-person puzzle games to tile-matching puzzle games, and a few that defy traditional genres. So without further ado, here is, in no particular order, my top 10 puzzle games for lapsed gamers. First up, Golf Peaks, an isometric puzzle game twist on the sport of golf. In Golf Peaks, you navigate a maze of pitfalls, sand traps, water hazards and more to get the ball in the hole, just like in the real sport. But the way in which you do this, and the central hook of what makes Golf Peaks such a fiendish puzzler, is that every move is denoted by one of a number of cards you have at your disposal. Each card represents a move, say 3 spaces along the ground, or chip up in the air for 2 spaces, and then a further 1 space along the ground, and so on. And you have to figure out which cards to use, in which order, and in what direction to use each move in order to get the ball in the hole. To alleviate the inevitable frustration you'll encounter, you can quickly reverse the past moves with a button press, or instantly restart the whole level if needed. Fiendishly puzzling but relaxing and rewarding, Golf Peaks is available on iOS, Android, PC, Mac and Nintendo Switch. Next up, Polybridge, one of my favourite games in recent years of any genre. In Polybridge, you have a simple task. Use the materials available to build a bridge strong enough to support whatever vehicles need to get from the left side of the screen to the right. Simple enough, right? Well, no, it turns out physics is a motherfucker, and building even a simple suspension bridge that can support its own weight, let alone any vehicles, is easier said than done. Throw into the mix levels with elevation changes, or levels that require you to build a bascule or lift bridge to allow ships to pass, and the complications go through the roof. You will fail, a lot, and your bridges will collapse over and over again until you get the construction right. Now that should be an exercise in acute frustration, but the failures of your bridges are more often than not absolutely hilarious, and the soothing effect of the excellent soundtrack composed by Adrian Tallons makes for an oddly relaxing puzzler, and one that I highly recommend. Polybridge is available on PC, iOS and Nintendo Switch. Now, anyone who has listened to the Lapsed Gamer Radio podcast for any length of time will know that we're huge fans of the Hitman franchise, so this list was always going to include Hitman Go. The first of a series of games that would go on to include Lara Croft Go and Deus Ex Go, Hitman Go is the distillation of the core loop of the Hitman level down to a series of boards where each turn-based move is limited by a grid of available spaces. Over the course of a series of boards representing a typical Hitman-style level, you have to infiltrate a location, kill your target and get out. but each individual board is in a game in itself, with guards to kill or circumvent and additional challenges to complete, because getting to the end of a level will allow you to move on to the next one, but to truly finish you will have a number of challenging optional objectives to complete, from killing all of the guards or killing none of the guards to collecting optional items or completing the level in less than a certain number of moves. Finishing the game is a challenge in itself. Finishing the game with all the optional challenges completed is fiendishly difficult but incredibly rewarding. Hitman Go is an excellent game for fans of puzzlers or the Hitman franchise, and is available on iOS, Android, PC, Mac, Linux, PS4 and PlayStation Vita. Next up, a rather dark addition to the list, The Swapper. What is ostensibly a clever puzzle platformer in the Metroidvania genre, rendered in a unique claymation art style, takes on a darker meaning when you start to think about the implications of the core mechanic of the game. You see, in The Swapper, you can create clones at will, and in fact you'll need to in order to complete the many puzzles you'll be presented with. These clones will almost always meet a grisly end, but a short way into the game you have to start transporting direct control, and presumably the protagonist's consciousness, to one of these clones, abandoning your former body and raising the question of whether you are still the same person anymore. An excellently written sci-fi storyline complements the head-scratching puzzles that comprise this game, and if you're looking for a puzzler with a slightly dark side, then you could do a lot worse. The Swapper is available on PC, Mac, Linux, Nintendo Wii U, Xbox One, PS3, PS4 and the PlayStation Vita. Sticking with the puzzle platformer genre, one of my favourite examples is the 2012 indie darling Fez. Known perhaps more for its eccentric lead developer Phil Fish than for the game itself, Fez is both a charming and beautiful retro platformer with a twist, and one of the most fiendish puzzlers ever released. What starts as a simple 2D platformer becomes more intricate when the ability to rotate the world 90 degrees is encountered early on in the game. This shifting of perspective adds a great level of complexity to navigating the world of Fez, and in itself would be a great addition to any puzzler fan's game library. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. To fully explore Fez and complete all the puzzles, you'll need to navigate a shifting world of portals, crack numerous codes, decipher several secret languages, and some of the secrets aren't available to be solved until you've beaten the game once and start New Game Plus. Such is the complexity of the puzzles in Fez that some took the collective minds of the entire community weeks to brute force their way to a solution. Beautiful, featuring one of my all-time favourite video game soundtracks and one of the most satisfying challenges in video games, Fez is a masterpiece and is available on Xbox 360, Xbox One, PC, Mac, Linux, PS3, PS4, PlayStation Vita and iOS. Now, I couldn't do this list and not mention Tetris. The problem is, which type of Tetris? The brainchild of Russian computer scientist Alexei Pajitnov back in 1984, Tetris has undergone a countless number of variations and tweaks over the years, so I couldn't pick one. So here are my 3 favourite versions of the classic tile puzzler. First off, Tetris Effect. What happens when you let Tetsuya Mizuguchi, the man behind Rez and Lumines, make a Tetris game? The Tetris Effect is a Tetris game in which every movement, rotation, drop and line clear contributes to the audio-visual dreamscape that envelops the playing board, leading to an almost hypnotic state in which you can become completely lost in the game. The addition of a zone mechanic means that for a short period, cleared lines don't disappear but move to the bottom of the board, meaning that for the first time you can clear more than 4 lines at once. Even more than 16 lines, or a decahexatris, can be cleared at once this way. Tetris Effect is an audio-visual treat wrapped around the excellent core gameplay of Tetris and is well worth playing. Tetris Effect is currently only available on PS4 and can be played on the TV or through a PlayStation VR headset. Now, if you like your Tetris a little bit more competitive, then you can't do much worse than Tetris 99. It's only available on the Nintendo Switch, and only then if you have a Nintendo Online subscription, but Tetris 99 is a free-to-play battle royale twist on the game, where you compete against 98 other Tetris players to be the last player left standing. Traditional PvP Tetris rules apply, so clearing lines build up to the level of garbage, incomplete lines that can be added to other players' boards, and you can select which other players to attack. Fast, frantic and incredibly challenging, Tetris 99 is possibly the most brutal version of the game to date. But if I had to pick a favourite, then it would have to be Puyo Puyo Tetris, which, as the name would suggest, is a combination of Tetris with the huge in Japan Puyo Puyo puzzle game. The two games are distinct from each other but share enough similarities to mean that switching between the two is easily done, which is helpful because you will be switching between the two a lot, and sometimes playing both games at the same time. A multitude of bonkers combination game modes, extensive training modes for people unfamiliar with Tetris or Puyo Puyo, up to 4-player arcade battles and a 100-stage campaign make for a massive package. Puyo Puyo Tetris is available on Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo Wii U, Nintendo Switch, PS3, PS4, PlayStation Vita, Xbox One and PC.
Step it up! Step it up! I'm lucky! You like that?
Now, to change genre completely, Portal was one of the most inventive and surprising puzzle games of the last 15 years, and the sequel is a brilliant evolution and expansion on the original. Continuing on from the end of the events of the original game, Portal 2 is another first-person physics puzzler. You have a portal gun that can open two ends of a portal, and you use that simple mechanic in ever more complicated and imaginative ways, with more of the brilliant, witty writing that featured in the original, but this time featuring the voices of Stephen Merchant and J.K. Simmons. The plot delves into the past of Aperture Science and unearths the secret of how GLaDOS, the psychotic AI and antagonist of the first game, was created. Featuring a lengthy campaign with a plethora of great puzzles to get through, Portal 2 also features a cooperative mode, where two players need to work together to solve a series of bespoke puzzle rooms, and the doubling of the portals with two players makes for even more mind-bending puzzles. Portal 2 is rightfully considered a modern classic, and it is available on PC, Mac, Linux, PS3, Xbox 360 and Xbox One.
Now, if you're part of control group Kepler-7, we implanted a tiny microchip about the size of a postcard into your skull. Most likely you've forgotten it's even there. But if it starts vibrating and beeping during this next test, let us know, because that means it's about to hit 500 degrees, so we're going to need to go ahead and get that out of you pretty fast.
Now, do you fancy a kid-friendly, cutesy puzzle that still challenges your cognitive abilities? Well, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is ideal. What originated as a series of special isometric puzzle levels in Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U, it was spun off into a full game at the behest of Shigeru Miyamoto, who loved the level so much. Each level is a small diorama with 3 gems to collect, a host of secrets and optional objectives to complete, and an endpoint to reach. What makes them such great little puzzles is the fact that Toad can't jump, so navigating the multi-level design of these little dioramas can become quite a puzzle, especially if you're chasing the optional collectibles. Depending on the version you get, there are up to 82 levels, plus more recently released for the Switch version via DLC, so there is plenty of game here to enjoy, and it's a great puzzler for kids and grown-ups alike. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is available on Nintendo Wii U, Nintendo 3DS and the Nintendo Switch. One of my favourite types of puzzle game are ones that play with time, and my favourite of these is the 2018 indie puzzler The Gardens Between. It's about 2 close friends who reminisce on the eve of one of them moving away, and their memories are presented through a series of abstract islands that represent shared identity and shared memories. You can control the game by winding time forward and backwards as the 2 friends move through the level, with the sole purpose of guiding a light to the end of the level and moving on to the next. Certain objects within each level operate independently of the time stream, and the properties of the objects can be changed to alter the levels, and how you interact with these objects and when is the core of the puzzle. For such a seemingly simple premise, the level of complexity in the puzzles will surprise you and leave you scratching your head as you try to work them out. The Gardens Between is a beautiful and touching story wrapped in a great little puzzler, and is available on PC, Mac, Linux, PS4, Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. And finally, in my mind, the most difficult puzzle game in recent years, if perhaps ever, is The Witness. The brainchild of Jonathan Blow, the creator of the excellent time-bending platform puzzler Braid, The Witness is a wonderful, serene and relaxing walk through a sunny island of brain-melting puzzles that will test the limits of your pattern recognition and code-breaking abilities. Each puzzle is a simple panel with a grid, a start point and an end point. You simply have to draw a line from the start to the end, which in itself couldn't be simpler, but each set of boards have their own rules, and figuring them out is the challenge. Some require a path to be drawn that mirrors nearby trees, some that follow the patterns of shadows, some that follow the patterns of nearby bird songs, other that have rules denoted by shapes on the grid. Each section of the island teaches you the basics of the rule set through a couple of easy boards before challenging you with hard ones, and then finally facing you off against a timed series of randomized puzzle boards that test your knowledge of the rules to the limit. The Witness is incredibly easy to pick up and get into, and is oddly relaxing to play, but it is one of the most challenging games to master that I've ever encountered, and it's a must-buy for people who like a real mental challenge in their video games. The Witness is available on PC, Mac, iOS, Nvidia Shield, PS4 and Xbox One. Well, that's it for another episode. If you enjoyed the video, please do drop us a like and maybe consider subscribing, and let us know in the comments below what your favourite puzzle game is. As always, you can catch the Laps Gamer Radio podcast over on iTunes, Podbean and Spotify. You can catch us on Twitter @LapsGamer. You can drop us an email to lapsgamerradio@gmail.com, and you can read our words over at lapsgamer.com. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next episode of LGR Play.